The letter arrived on a Tuesday. Thick cream paper, embossed letterhead, the kind that makes your heart skip before you even break the seal. I stared at it for a full minute in my cramped studio apartment, surrounded by instant ramen containers and textbooks held together with duct tape. We are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted into the doctoral program. My name is Roslyn, and I'd been waiting for this moment for 3 years. 3 years of night classes, weekend study sessions, and scholarship applications, written at 2 a.m. after 12-hour workdays. The program was fully funded. Tuition, living expenses, even a small stipend. It was my ticket out. I called Mum immediately. "Roslyn, honey, you know, Tuesday is my yoga day," Penelope answered, slightly breathless. "Can this wait?" "I got in," I said, gripping the letter. "The doctoral program at Cambridge. Full scholarship." Silence. Then, "Oh, well, that's nice, dear. Listen, can you transfer an extra $500 this week? Varda needs new tyres, and you know how she is about driving on those old ones." My stomach dropped. "Mum, did you hear what I said? Cambridge, doctorate, this is..." Yes, very impressive. We'll talk about it at dinner Sunday. Don't forget the wine." The line went dead. I sat there holding my phone, staring at the acceptance letter. In the corner of my vision, my laptop displayed my banking app. Checking account balance, $347. My sister's Instagram story showed her at some trendy brunch spot, mimosas and avocado toast artfully arranged, tagged with "living my best life." Sunday dinner at Mum's house was a ritual I'd been trapped in for 6 years, ever since Dad died and left me as the designated responsible one. The house was a sprawling colonial in the best part of town, the kind with a circular driveway and professionally maintained landscaping. I paid for all of it. "There's my hard-working girl." Mum swept me into a hug that smelled like expensive perfume and white wine. "Varda's in the living room. She has news." Varda was draped across the leather sectional like a Renaissance painting, all flowing hair and dramatic gestures. At 24, she perfected the art of being perpetually in crisis. "Roz, thank God you're here. I'm having an absolute breakdown about this wedding I'm supposed to be in next month. The bride is being such a bridezilla about the dress. It's $300. Can you believe it?" "You don't have $300, I asked, settling into the chair across from her. "Well, technically no, but that's not the point. The point is the principle. She should be paying for our dresses if she's going to be so picky about them." Mum emerged from the kitchen, carrying a bottle of wine that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. "Girls, dinner's ready. Roslyn, be a dear and grab the salad." We settled around the dining table and I waited for the right moment. Mum was halfway through her second glass of wine. Varda was picking at her food while scrolling through her phone. Perfect. "I have some news," I said, setting down my fork. "Oh." Mum looked up with mild interest. "I got accepted to a doctoral program. Cambridge. Full scholarship." Varda's head snapped up from her phone. "Wait, what?" "It's a 3-year program. Fully funded. I'd be studying international relations with a focus on economic policy." The silence stretched uncomfortably. Mum's wine glass hovered halfway to her lips. "When would this start?" she asked carefully. "September. I'd need to move to England by August." Varda laughed, sharp and disbelieving. "You're joking, right?" "No, I'm not joking. This is what I've been working toward for years." "Roslyn," Mum set down her glass with deliberate precision. "Honey, you can't be serious. What about us? What about your responsibilities here?" "What responsibilities?" "Don't be obtuse. You know exactly what I mean. The house, the car payments, Varda's expenses. We depend on you." "You depend on my money," I said quietly. Varda's eyes flashed. "That's not fair. We're family. Family takes care of each other." I have been taking care of you. For 6 years, I've put my entire life on hold. Oh, please. Varda rolled her eyes. Don't be so dramatic. It's not like you had some amazing life planned out. You work at an insurance company. The words hit like a slap. I work at an insurance company to pay for your lifestyle. Girls, please. Mum's voice took on that particular tone, the one that meant she was about to deploy the heavy artillery. Roslyn, sweetheart, I understand this feels important to you, but let's be realistic. You're 28 years old. Don't you think you're a little old to be playing student again? Playing student? This whole academic thing, it's a lovely hobby, but it's not practical. We need you here. We need you to be responsible. I looked between them. Mum with her perfectly styled hair and designer blouse, Varda with her manicured nails and sulky expression. Both of them staring at me like I'd suggested burning the house down. So, what you're saying is, I should turn down a full scholarship to one of the world's best universities so I can keep funding your shopping habits. Don't be cruel, Mum said, her voice trembling slightly. You know it's more than that. You know how much we love you, how much we need you. After your father died, you became the backbone of this family. Would you really abandon us now? The guilt hit exactly where she'd aimed it. I felt my resolve cracking, the familiar weight of obligation settling back onto my shoulders. I started, then stopped. They were both watching me, waiting. Of course not, I heard myself say. You're right. Family comes first. Mum's smile was radiant. I knew you'd see sense. Now, about that extra money for Varda's tyres. I nodded and made the appropriate noises, but inside something had shifted, something cold and final. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I sat on my bed holding the acceptance letter and my phone. The number was programmed in my contacts, but I'd never had reason to call it before. Francis Brewer, family attorney, answered on the second ring. Francis, it's Roslyn Morgan. I took a deep breath. It's time. Francis's office smelled like leather and old books, the kind of place where serious decisions got made. I'd been here exactly once before, 6 years ago, when Dad's will was read. Back then, I'd been too grief-stricken to pay attention to the details. Roslyn, please, sit. Francis gestured to the chair across from his mahogany desk. He was exactly as I remembered, silver-haired, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, the sort of man who radiated quiet competence. I wasn't sure you'd remember me, I said, settling into the leather chair. Of course I remember. You're the one who's been keeping everything afloat. He pulled out a thick file folder. Your father spoke about you often. He was very proud. My throat tightened. He never told me about the trust details. He wanted to. Near the end, he regretted not explaining everything to you sooner. Francis opened the folder, revealing pages of legal documents. He assumed he'd have more time. So, what exactly am I looking at here? Francis spread several documents across the desk. The Morgan Family Trust, established by your grandfather in 1987. Your father was the primary trustee until his death, at which point control passed to you as the eldest child. And that means what, exactly? It means you have complete discretionary control over all trust distributions. Your mother and sister receive their monthly allowances only at your approval. I stared at the papers. They don't know this. No, your father handled everything directly. After he died, I simply continued the automatic payments as instructed. But legally, you've been the sole decision maker for 6 years. Jesus. I picked up one of the documents, scanning the dense legal text. How much are we talking about? The trust is currently valued at approximately $2.8 million. Your mother receives $4,000 monthly. Your sister receives $2,500. My hands went numb. $78,000 a year. I've been killing myself working 60-hour weeks while they get $78,000 a year for existing. There's more. Francis flipped to another page. Article 7, subsection C, the self-sufficiency clause, which is, any beneficiary over the age of 21 must demonstrate reasonable efforts toward financial independence. Failure to do so can result in reduced or suspended distributions. I looked up at him. Define reasonable efforts. Francis's smile was subtle but unmistakable. Employment, education, vocational training. The trustee has broad discretion to determine what constitutes adequate effort. And if they refuse? Then the trustee can suspend payments indefinitely. I sat back in my chair, mind racing. They have no idea. None whatsoever. Your father was protective of their feelings. Protective? I laughed, but there was no humour in it. He was enabling them. Perhaps. But you're not your father, Rosalind? What would you like to do? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Vada. Emergency. My credit card got declined at Nordstrom. Can you transfer $800 ASAP? Love you. I showed Francis the screen. He raised an eyebrow. I wanted to implement the self-sufficiency clause, I said, immediately. That's well within your rights. How do you want to structure it? Give them 30 days' notice. After that, payments are contingent on proof of job applications, interviews, or enrollment in job training programs. Francis was already taking notes. And if they comply? Reduced payments, say $1,500 for Mum, $1,000 for Vada, enough to motivate them, but not enough to maintain their current lifestyle. And if they don't comply? 0. Francis nodded approvingly. I'll draft the notification letters today. They'll be delivered by certified mail. How long before this takes effect? 30 days from delivery. I'd recommend documenting everything. Their responses, any threats or manipulation attempts. This kind of change often brings out the worst in people. I thought about Sunday dinner, about Mum's trembling voice and Vada's casual cruelty. I'm counting on it. An hour later, I met Ellie at our usual coffee shop. She took one look at my face and ordered us both double shots. You look like you've seen a ghost, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. I just found out I've been in control of my family's money for 6 years and never knew it. Ellie's eyes widened. What do you mean? I explained everything. The trust, the monthly payments, the self-sufficiency clause. Ellie listened without interrupting, her expression shifting from surprise to something that looked like fierce satisfaction. So you're telling me, she said slowly, that while you've been eating ramen and working yourself to death, they've been living off a trust fund you control? $78,000 a year. Holy shit! Ellie leaned back. What are you going to do? I'm cutting them off. Good. Her response was immediate and emphatic. It's about damn time. You don't think I'm being vindictive? Vindictive? Ros, they made you turn down Cambridge. They made you feel guilty for wanting a life. That's not family. That's parasitism. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Vada. Hello? I'm literally standing in the store. This is embarrassing. I showed Ellie the message. She snorted. Let her be embarrassed. Maybe it'll be educational. Francis is sending the letters today. How long do they have? 30 days to find jobs or start job training. Ellie grinned. This is going to be epic. You know they're going to lose their minds. I'm counting on it. You need to document everything. Screenshots, recordings if it's legal in your state, witnesses to conversations. They're going to try to manipulate you. And when that doesn't work, they'll probably try to destroy you. I thought about that for a moment. Let them try. That evening, I drove past Mum's house on my way home from work. The lights were on in every room, the driveway full of cars. Varda was throwing another impromptu party. Through the large front windows, I could see people laughing, drinking, having the kind of carefree fun that money could buy. My money. I sat in my car across the street, watching them celebrate with funds I'd never authorised, in a house I'd been paying for without knowing it. The trust documents were in my passenger seat, Francis's business card clipped to the front page. Tomorrow, everything would change. In 30 days, the party would be over. I started my car and drove home, already planning my next move. The certified mail was delivered on a Thursday morning. I know because I was tracking it obsessively, refreshing the postal service website every hour like some kind of digital stalker. Penelope signed for hers at 10:47 a.m. Varda's was delivered to her apartment at 11:23 a.m. My phone started ringing at 11:31 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again. And again. By noon, I had 14 missed calls and my phone was buzzing non-stop with text messages. I turned off the sound and went to lunch, leaving my phone in my desk drawer like a ticking bomb. When I came back an hour later, the notification count had hit 47. The first voicemail was Mom, her voice shaky. "Roslyn, honey, I think there's been some kind of mistake with the trust paperwork. Can you call me? It's urgent." The second was Varda, shrieking, "What the fuck is this letter? Call me back, right now." By the fifth message, Mum's tone had shifted. "Roslyn, this isn't funny anymore. I don't know what game you're playing, but you need to fix this immediately." The 10th message was Varda again. "You vindictive bitch! How could you do this to your own family?" I screenshot every text message, saved every voicemail. Ellie had been right about documentation. The family group chat was a war zone. I scrolled through message after message of increasingly unhinged accusations. "Mum, I can't believe you would betray us like this." Varda, "This is literally abuse." Mum, "Your father would be ashamed." Varda, "You're destroying this family over what? Some stupid school program?" Mum, "We need that money. Roslyn, the mortgage, the car payments, everything depends on it." Varda, "I have bills. I have a life. You can't just cut me off like I'm nothing." Mum, "If you don't fix this, I'm calling Francis myself." Varda, "Actually, fuck that, I'm calling a lawyer." I typed one response. "The trust terms are clearly outlined in the letters. You have 30 days to comply with the self-sufficiency requirements." The chat exploded. Varda, "Self-sufficiency? Are you insane?" Mom, "Roslyn Elizabeth Morgan, you get on the phone with me right now." Varda, "I'm not getting some minimum wage job because you're having a power trip." Mom, "This is not how we raised you." Varda, "You're literally ruining my life." I muted the chat and went back to work. At 3 p.m, my office phone rang. The receptionist's voice was apologetic. "Roslyn, your mother is here. She says it's a family emergency." "Tell her I'm in meetings all afternoon." "She says she'll wait." "Tell her I'm in meetings all week." 20 minutes later, my cell phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello?" "Don't you dare hang up on me." Mum's voice was ice-cold fury. "I'm sitting in your lobby and I'm not leaving until you explain yourself." "There's nothing to explain. The trust has terms. You need to follow them." "Terms?" "Roslyn, I'm your mother. Varda is your sister. We're not some strangers you can just cut off like we mean nothing to you." "You mean plenty to me. That's why I'm giving you 30 days instead of cutting you off immediately." 30 days to what? Get jobs? Roslyn, I'm 52 years old. I haven't worked in 20 years. And Varda is 24 and perfectly capable of working. She has anxiety. You know she has anxiety. Then she can get treatment. The trust will cover medical expenses. This is insane. You're being completely unreasonable. I'm being exactly as reasonable as Dad's trust documents require me to be. There was a long pause. When Mum spoke again, her voice had changed, taking on that particular wounded tone she used when she wanted to make me feel guilty. Honey, I know you're upset about the school thing. I know we handled that badly, but this isn't the way to handle it. This is cruel. The way you handled Cambridge was cruel. We were just trying to protect you from making a mistake. You were protecting your meal ticket. How can you say that? After everything we've been through together, after I raised you, sacrificed for you. Sacrificed what, exactly? You haven't worked since I was 12. You haven't paid a bill in 6 years. What exactly have you sacrificed? I sacrificed my career to raise you girls. And now it's time to unsacrifice it. The line went quiet, except for Mum's breathing. If you don't reverse this, she said finally, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to contest the trust, challenge your authority. I'll drag this through court if I have to. Good luck with that. Francis already confirmed everything is ironclad. Francis works for the family, not just for you. Actually, Francis works for the trustee, which is me. Another long silence. You've changed, Mum said, her voice barely above a whisper. You've become someone I don't recognise. Maybe you never knew me to begin with. She hung up. I sat in my office chair, hands shaking slightly from adrenaline. Through my window, I could see the parking lot where Mum's BMW was still parked. She was probably calling Varda, strategizing their next move. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Emerson. We need to talk. What you're doing is illegal, and we're going to stop you. I screenshot the message and forwarded it to Francis with a note. It's starting. His reply came back within minutes. Document everything. Don't engage directly. Let them make their moves first. At 5 p.m, I packed up my things and headed for the elevator. Mum was still in the lobby, sitting in one of the uncomfortable chairs near the reception desk. She looked smaller somehow, older. For just a moment, I felt a flicker of the old guilt. Then I remembered Cambridge. I remembered 6 years of ramen dinners and second-hand clothes while she got weekly manicures. I walked past her without stopping. "Roslyn," she called out, but I was already through the revolving door. In the parking lot, I could see her BMW was blocked in by a tow truck. Apparently, she'd been parked in a no-parking zone for hours. I got in my car and drove home, leaving her to figure out her own problems for once. My phone was buzzing again, but I didn't check it. Whatever they were planning, whatever threats they were making, I was ready. The war had officially begun. The smear campaign started on Facebook. I was having my morning coffee when Ellie called, her voice tight with anger. "Have you seen what they're posting about you?" "I don't really use Facebook anymore." "Well, you need to see this. I'm sending screenshots." My phone buzzed with a series of images. Varda had posted a long dramatic status update. I never thought I'd have to ask for help like this, but my sister has completely cut off all financial support to our family with zero warning. My mum and I are facing eviction and can't afford basic necessities. We're looking at losing everything because of one person's selfishness. If anyone knows of job opportunities or can offer any assistance, please reach out. I never imagined family could be this cruel. Jack family, betrayal, I need help. The post had 37 comments and counting. I scrolled through them, my stomach churning. OMG, Vada, I'm so sorry. Your sister sounds like a monster. Family should always come first. Praying for you, babe. Can't believe someone would do this to their own mother. Disgusting. But then I saw other comments that made me pause. Wait, Didn't you just post pictures from that expensive restaurant last week? Vada, you're 24, maybe it's time to get a job? Your sister has been supporting you for years. Maybe there's more to this story. It gets worse, Ellie said. Check your work email. I opened my laptop. There was a message from HR asking me to call them at my earliest convenience. My blood ran cold. Roslyn, thanks for calling back so quickly. Janet from HR sounded uncomfortable. We received some concerning calls yesterday about your personal situation affecting your work performance. What kind of calls? Someone claiming to be your mother called to say you were having a mental health crisis and might be making poor decisions. She was worried about your judgment. She called my work. She also mentioned something about you mismanaging family finances. Look, I know this is personal, but if there are legal issues that might impact your position here. There are no legal issues. My family is upset that I'm no longer financially supporting their lifestyle. That's all. Okay. Well, just keep us informed if anything develops that we need to know about. After I hung up, I immediately called Francis. They're trying to sabotage my job, I told him. Document it, save the HR conversation details, screenshot the social media posts. This kind of behaviour actually strengthens your position. How? It demonstrates exactly why the self-sufficiency clause exists. Adults who resort to manipulation and sabotage when asked to support themselves aren't exactly proving their maturity. That afternoon, my cousin Nicole called. We hadn't spoken in months. Ross, I just saw Vada's Facebook post. What the hell is going on? Did she tell you the whole story? She said you cut off their money out of nowhere because you're mad about some school program. That's not exactly accurate. I explained the trust situation, the years of support, the Cambridge scholarship I'd turned down. Nicole listened without interrupting. Jesus Christ, she said finally. They've been getting $6,500 a month? Plus, I've been covering the mortgage, car payments, insurance, everything else. While you live in that tiny apartment and drive a car that's older than Vada. Pretty much. And they made you turn down Cambridge. They said it was selfish. Nicole was quiet for a long moment. Ross, I need to tell you something. Vada called me yesterday asking if I could lend her money. She said you'd gone crazy and were trying to control them. What did you tell her? I told her I'd think about it. But now, fuck that. She's been living off you for years and has the audacity to call you controlling. She's telling everyone I'm having a mental breakdown. Let me guess, Mum's idea? Probably. I'm going to make some calls. Aunt Sarah, Uncle Mike, the whole family. They need to know the real story. That evening, Emerson showed up at my apartment. I watched him through the peephole, pacing in the hallway like a caged animal. When I didn't answer, he started pounding on the door. Roslyn, I know you're in there. We need to talk. I called building security instead of opening the door. Ma'am, we've asked the gentleman to leave, but he says it's a family emergency, the security guard told me over the phone. It's not an emergency. He's harassing me on behalf of my sister. We'll escort him out. Through the peephole, I watched security walk Emerson to the elevator. He was gesturing wildly, clearly agitated. My phone buzzed with a text from him. You can't hide forever. We're going to fight this, and we're going to win. I forwarded it to Francis. The next morning brought a new development. Nicole called again, this time with news. I talked to Aunt Sarah last night. Apparently, Mum called her too, asking for a loan. Said you'd stolen the family money. What did Sarah say? She asked some pointed questions about why two grown women needed loans when they'd been receiving trust payments for years. Mum got defensive and hung up. Good. There's more. I did some digging into the trust documents. Dad left copies with Uncle Mike when he was sick, just in case. Mike pulled them out and read through everything. And? Roz, there's a clause in there about financial irresponsibility. If beneficiaries accumulate excessive debt or make poor financial decisions, the trustee can permanently revoke their access. My heart started racing. What kind of debt? I don't know specifics, but Mike said he's heard rumours about Mum's credit cards, and Varda's been borrowing money from friends for months. How much debt are we talking about? Enough that they're panicking about losing the monthly payments. Mike thinks they're in deeper trouble than they're letting on. After Nicole hung up, I sat staring at my laptop screen. If they were already in debt despite receiving almost $80,000 a year, what would happen when that money disappeared entirely? My phone rang. Francis. Roslyn, we need to meet. I've received some interesting information about your family's financial situation. What kind of information? The kind that suggests your decision to implement the self-sufficiency clause was even more necessary than we thought. How bad is it? Bad enough that they're probably going to get desperate. And desperate people do stupid things. I looked out my apartment window at the parking lot below. A familiar BMW was parked across the street, engine running. Francis, I think they're already getting desperate. Then we need to be ready for whatever comes next. The BMW's door opened and Varda stepped out, phone pressed to her ear. Even from 4 floors up, I could see her gesturing angrily. Whatever they were planning, it was about to escalate. Francis spread the financial documents across his desk like evidence at a crime scene. Credit card statements, loan applications, bank records, all bearing my mother's and sister's names. How did you get these? I asked. Your mother submitted them as part of her petition to have you removed as trustee. She's claiming financial hardship, but these documents tell a different story. I picked up one of Varda's credit card statements. The balance was $23,147. Jesus, that's just one card. She has 4 maxed out. Your mother has 6 plus a personal loan she took out last month. How much total? Combined, nearly $200,000 in debt. The room spun slightly. 200,000? How is that even possible? Luxury purchases, cash advances, living beyond their means for years. They've been using credit to supplement the trust payments. I flipped through more statements. Designer handbags, expensive dinners, spa treatments, shopping sprees, all charged while I ate ramen and wore second-hand clothes. They've been living like millionaires while I've been living like a college student. It gets worse. Your mother took out a second mortgage on the house last year. She's 3 months behind on payments. She's going to lose the house. Without the trust payments? Absolutely. The foreclosure process has already started. My phone buzzed. A text from Varda. I got a job interview at Target. Are you happy now? I showed Francis the message. He raised an eyebrow. First job interview of her life, I'm guessing? Probably. 2 hours later, Varda called me sobbing. They didn't hire me. The manager was so rude, asking all these questions about my work history and availability. I told him I needed flexible hours because I have a social life, and he just stared at me like I was crazy. Varda, this is all your fault. I've never had to do this before. I don't know how to interview or fill out applications or any of this stuff. That's exactly why you need to learn. I can't do this, Roz. I'm not built for regular jobs. I have anxiety. I have depression. I need my freedom. Then get treatment. Use the medical coverage from the trust. I don't want treatment. I want my life back. She hung up. That evening, Nicole called with an update. I just got off the phone with Aunt Sarah. Mum called her again, this time asking for $50,000. $50,000? Said it was a temporary loan until you came to your senses. Sarah asked what she needed that much money for, and Mum broke down crying about losing the house. What did Sarah say? She said if Mum was getting almost $4,000 a month from the trust, she should have been saving money, not spending it all. Mom got defensive and started ranting about how the family doesn't understand what she's been through since Dad died. The family doesn't understand. Sarah pointed out that you lost your father too, but somehow managed to support everyone while working full-time. Mum hung up on her. The next morning brought a new crisis. My building's concierge called at 6 a.m. "Ms. Morgan, your mother is in the lobby. She says she's been here all night." I threw on clothes and went downstairs. Mum was curled up in one of the lobby chairs, still wearing yesterday's clothes. Her hair was dishevelled, her makeup smeared. She looked like she hadn't slept. "Mum, what are you doing here?" She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. "I didn't have anywhere else to go." "What do you mean?" "The electricity got shut off. I couldn't pay the bill." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I've been sitting in my car, but it's so cold and I thought maybe if I came here..." Despite everything, seeing her like this made my chest tight. "Mum, I know you're angry with me. I know I handle things badly, but please, Roslyn, I'm your mother. I need help. The trust will cover utilities if you're actively looking for work." "I am. I filled out 3 applications yesterday. Online applications for retail jobs." She said it like she was admitting to a crime. "That's good. That's a start. But they want references, and I don't have any. I haven't worked in 20 years. Who's going to hire a 52-year-old woman with no recent experience?" "Lots of places hire mature workers. You just have to keep trying." She started crying again. "This isn't who I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be begging for minimum wage jobs and sleeping in my car." "Mum, you can stay in a hotel. The trust covers reasonable living expenses during the transition period." "What transition period? You're destroying our lives." "I'm giving you a chance to build real lives. Lives that don't depend on me working myself to death." She stood up abruptly. "You know what? Fine. If you want to watch your family fall apart, go ahead. But don't expect me to thank you for it." She stormed toward the exit, then turned back. "There's something you don't know, Roslyn. Something about your precious father and his perfect trust fund. If you don't restore our payments, I'm going to tell everyone the truth about where that money really came from." My blood went cold. "What truth?" "Ask Francis about the insurance settlement. Ask him about the money your father never reported to the IRS. Ask him how much of that trust fund is built on lies." She left me standing in the lobby, mind racing. I called Francis immediately. "We need to meet. Now." "What's wrong?" "Mum's threatening to expose some kind of scandal about Dad and the trust money." There was a long pause. "I'll clear my schedule. Come in immediately." As I drove to Francis's office, my hands were shaking. Everything I'd built my revenge on, the legal authority, the moral high ground, the righteous anger. What if it was all based on something corrupt? What if Mum was right to threaten me? What if I'd just handed her the weapon she needed to destroy everything? Francis was waiting for me with a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses on his desk. That was never a good sign. "Sit down, Roslyn. Just tell me, how bad is it?" He poured 2 fingers of whiskey into each glass and slid one toward me. "Your mother is referring to something that happened 15 years ago. Your father received a life insurance payout when his business partner died unexpectedly." "Okay." "The partner had been embezzling from their company. When he died, the insurance company paid out based on the business valuation, but they didn't know about the missing funds. Your father received money for assets that didn't actually exist." My stomach dropped. "So Dad stole insurance money?" "No. Your father reported the discrepancy to the insurance company as soon as he discovered it. He returned every penny and cooperated fully with their investigation." I stared at him. "Then, what's Mum threatening me with?" "During the investigation, there was a brief period, maybe 6 weeks. where your father had access to money that wasn't rightfully his. Your mother apparently believes this makes the entire trust illegitimate, but he returned it. Every cent, plus interest. I have all the documentation. Francis opened a file cabinet and pulled out a thick folder. Your father was scrupulously honest about the whole thing. The insurance company even wrote a letter commending his integrity. I took a sip of whiskey, feeling the burn in my throat. So, Mum's threat is bullshit. Completely. But she's desperate, and desperate people often believe their own lies. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Check Facebook. I opened the app with shaking hands. Varda had posted again, this time with a photo of Mum looking dishevelled in what appeared to be a hotel lobby. Update on our family situation. My mother spent last night sleeping in her car because my sister has cut off all support with zero notice. This is what family values looks like according to Rosalind Morgan. Our father would be ashamed of what she's become. Family abuse, elder abuse. The post already had dozens of comments, but this time the responses were different. Varda, your sister supported you for 6 years. Maybe it's time to grow up. Why can't you get a job like everyone else? Your mum looks fine to me. Stop being so dramatic. I know Rosalind from work. She's one of the most responsible people I've ever met. There's definitely more to this story. But then, I saw a comment that made my blood freeze. I heard the family money came from insurance fraud. Maybe that's why she's so desperate to control it. Francis, look at this. He read over my shoulder, his jaw tightening. She's actually going public with her accusations. Can she do that? Legally? She can say whatever she wants, but if she's making false statements about fraud, that's defamation. We can sue her. My phone rang. Nicole. Ros, I just saw the Facebook post. What insurance fraud is she talking about? I explained what Francis had told me. Nicole listened, then sighed heavily. This is getting out of hand. The whole family is talking about it now. Uncle Mike called me this morning asking if you'd really stolen money. What did you tell him? I told him that sounded like bullshit, but he wants to see proof. Everyone's taking sides. What sides? Team Penelope and Varda versus Team Rosalind. It's like a civil war. After Nicole hung up, Francis pulled out more documents. I think it's time to go on the offensive, he said. Your mother's accusations are false and damaging. We can file for defamation and harassment. I don't want to sue my own mother. Then what do you want to do? Let her destroy your reputation with lies. Before I could answer, my phone rang again. This time it was my boss. Rosalind, I need you to come in. We've received some serious allegations about your conduct. What kind of allegations? Someone called claiming you've been embezzling from a family trust. They said there might be criminal charges pending. My hands went numb. That's completely false. I'm sure it is, but we need to discuss this in person. Can you come in now? I hung up and looked at Francis. They called my work again, this time claiming I'm embezzling. That's it. Francis stood up, his face grim. We're filing a restraining order today. Francis, no. This has crossed every line. They're trying to destroy your career with false accusations. That's not family drama anymore. That's criminal harassment. 2 hours later, I was sitting in my boss's office with HR present, explaining the entire situation. I'd brought copies of all the trust documents, Francis's contact information, and a timeline of the harassment. So, you're saying these accusations are completely fabricated? My boss asked. Completely. I can provide legal documentation proving everything I've told you. And this is your mother and sister making these calls? Yes. They're upset that I'm no longer financially supporting them. HR took notes while I talked. When I finished, my boss leaned back in his chair. Roslyn, you've been with us for 6 years. Your work has always been exemplary, but this situation is concerning. I understand. I'm taking legal action to stop the harassment. Good. Keep us informed. And, Roslyn, document everything. If this escalates further, we'll need a complete record. That evening, I met Ellie at a bar near my apartment. She took one look at my face and ordered us both doubles. They called your work again? Claiming I'm embezzling. My boss was understanding, but I can see the doubt in his eyes. This is insane. They're trying to destroy your life because you won't fund their shopping addiction. Francis wants to file a restraining order. Do it. This has gone way beyond normal family drama. My phone buzzed with a voicemail notification. The number was blocked. I put it on speaker. Varda's voice slurred with alcohol. You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you can just cut us off and walk away? Well, guess what, sister? I found something. Something that's going to bring your whole perfect little plan crashing down. You have no idea what's coming. Ellie and I stared at each other. What could she have found? Ellie asked. I don't know, but knowing Varda, it's probably nothing. She's just trying to scare me. But even as I said it, a chill ran down my spine. Varda might be dramatic and entitled, but she wasn't stupid, and desperate people were capable of anything. My phone buzzed with a text from Francis. Restraining order filed. Court date set for Monday. Stay vigilant. I looked around the bar, suddenly feeling exposed. Somewhere out there, my mother and sister were plotting their next move, and I had no idea what they were capable of. The call came at 3 a.m. on a Saturday. Francis's voice was tight with controlled anger. Roslyn, I need you to get to my office immediately. We have a serious problem. What happened? Someone attempted to access the trust accounts overnight. They had forged authorization documents with your signature. I was already reaching for my clothes. How much did they get? Nothing. The bank's fraud detection system flagged it, but Roslyn, this is a felony. We're talking about attempted grand theft. It was Varda. Can you prove that? Who else would it be? That's not enough for the police. Get here now. We need to call the bank and file a report before they try again. I threw on jeans and a sweater, my hands shaking as I grabbed my keys. The streets were empty at this hour, just me and the occasional taxi cutting through the darkness toward Francis's office. He was waiting in the lobby, still in pajamas under his overcoat. We rode the elevator in silence. Show me everything, I said as soon as we reached his office. Francis spread out printed emails and bank documents. They submitted a request to transfer $40,000 to an account registered under V. Morgan. The signature looked convincing at first glance. I studied the forged signature. It was close, but not perfect. She practiced this. The bank manager called me directly because the request came in outside normal business hours and the amount was unusually large. Smart woman. She probably saved us from a much bigger theft. What happens now? We file a police report. The bank will investigate. If they determine it was intentional fraud, Varda could go to jail. Yes. My phone started buzzing. Text messages flooding in. Varda? I know you're awake. Varda? I know you called the bank. Varda, you want to play hardball? Let's play hardball. Varda, I have copies of everything. Varda, Dad's real will, the one he wrote before he got sick. Varda, guess who he really wanted to control the money? I showed Francis the messages. His face went pale. There is no other will, right? I asked. Your father's will was very straightforward. There were no previous versions, no amendments. Francis, Let me check something. He went to his file cabinet, pulling out folder after folder. Your father did mention... No, that's impossible. What? He mentioned drafting something years earlier, but he said he destroyed it when your mother's spending got out of control. What did it say? It would have made your mother the primary trustee with you as backup. My stomach dropped. If Vada has a copy of that... She could challenge your authority. But Roslyn, even if such a document existed, it would have been superseded by the final will. Legally, it's meaningless. But it would give her grounds to contest everything. Potentially. But first, she'd have to prove it's authentic, which would be difficult if your father destroyed the original. My phone rang. Block number. Don't answer it, Francis said, but I was already swiping to accept. Hello, sister. Vada's voice was cold, controlled, different from her usual dramatics. Vada, you need to turn yourself in. The bank has evidence of attempted fraud. Fraud? I was accessing money that should have been mine all along. That's not how the law works. Maybe not, but I wonder how the law feels about trustees who hide important documents from beneficiaries. What are you talking about? Dad's real will, Roslyn. The one where he left Mom in charge of everything. The one you and Francis have been hiding for 6 years. Francis was shaking his head frantically, but I could hear the confidence in Vada's voice. There is no other will. Really? Then explain this. My phone buzzed with a photo message, a document that looked like Dad's handwriting, dated 2 years before his death. Francis grabbed my phone, studying the image. His face went white. This is impossible, he whispered. What? This looks like your father's handwriting, but I never saw this document. Could it be real? I don't know, but if it is... Vada's voice came through the speaker. Still there, sis. I thought you might want to discuss terms. What terms? Full restoration of our monthly payments, retroactive compensation for the months you cut us off, and a formal apology for your illegal seizure of family assets. And if I refuse? Then I file this will with the probate court on Monday morning, along with a complaint about your fraudulent management of the trust. Francis took the phone from me. Vada, this is Francis Brewer. If you have a document you believe is relevant to the trust, you need to submit it through proper legal channels. Oh, I will. But I thought I'd give my dear sister a chance to do the right thing first. Where did you get this document? Mom found it in Dad's old desk. Funny how it just turned up, right? The line went dead. Francis and I stared at each other. Could she have forged it? I asked. It's possible, but if it's real, I've been illegally controlling money that should have gone to Mom. Not illegally. You were acting on the authority of the final will, but it would complicate things significantly. I slumped in my chair. They've been planning this. The attempted bank fraud was probably a distraction, something to make me panic while they prepared their real attack. We need a handwriting expert, and we need to examine the original document, not just a photo. What if it's real, Francis? What if Dad really did want Mom to control the money? Then we deal with it. But Roslyn, even if this document is authentic, it doesn't change the fact that your mother and sister have been financially irresponsible. Any court would see that. My phone buzzed with another message from Vada. You have 24 hours to restore our payments. After that, this gets very public and very ugly. I looked at Francis. What do? We prepare for war, because that's what this is now. Outside the office windows, dawn was breaking over the city. Somewhere out there, my mother and sister were probably celebrating, thinking they'd found the perfect weapon to destroy me. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd underestimated how far I was willing to go to protect what was mine. The handwriting expert's report arrived Tuesday morning. Francis called me before I'd even finished my first cup of coffee. "It's a forgery," he said without preamble. "A very good one, but a forgery nonetheless. The paper is wrong. It's from a batch manufactured 3 years after your father's death." So Varda faked the whole thing? Worse, she hired someone to do it. This wasn't some amateur job with tracing paper. This was professional document fraud. I sat down heavily. That's a federal crime. Multiple federal crimes. Fraud, forgery, attempted extortion. The FBI is going to want to talk to her. The FBI? Bank fraud crosses state lines when it involves wire transfers. This is out of local jurisdiction now. My phone started ringing. Mum's number. "Don't answer," Francis said. "Let them make the next move. We have everything we need." But I was already swiping to accept. "Hello, Mum." "Rosalind, thank God. We need to talk. There's been a terrible misunderstanding." "What kind of misunderstanding?" "About that document Varda found. I think she might have made a mistake." "What kind of mistake?" "She was so upset, so desperate to fix things between us. I think she might have embellished some details." Francis was recording the call on his phone, nodding at me to keep her talking. "Embellished how?" "The will she showed you. I don't think your father actually wrote that." "Are you saying Varda forged it?" Long pause. "I'm saying she was trying to help our family, and maybe she went too far." "Mum, do you understand what you're telling me? Document forgery is a federal crime. Which is why we need to fix this quietly. Family to family. No lawyers, no police, no courts. It's too late for that." "What do you mean?" "The FBI is already involved. The bank fraud triggered a federal investigation." I could hear Mom's sharp intake of breath. "FBI? Varda tried to steal $40,000 using forged documents. Then she tried to extort me with a fake will. This isn't family drama anymore, Mum. This is serious criminal activity." "She's just a child, Rosalind. She doesn't understand. She's 24 years old. She hired a professional forger. She knew exactly what she was doing. Please, I'm begging you, don't let them arrest her. She's my baby." She made her choice. "What do you want? I'll do anything. We'll get jobs. We'll pay back every penny." "It's not about the money anymore." "Then what?" I looked at Francis, who nodded encouragingly. "It's about consequences, Mum. For the first time in your lives, there are actual consequences for your actions." "Rosalind, I'm done." I hung up. Francis smiled grimly. "That was perfect. She just admitted on a recorded call that Varda forged the document. What happens now?" "Now we wait. The FBI will want to interview you, but you're the victim here. Varda, on the other hand." My phone buzzed with a text from Nicole. "Turn on Channel 7 News. Now." I grabbed the remote and flipped to the local news. A reporter was standing outside the courthouse. 24-year-old Varda Morgan was arrested this morning on federal charges of bank fraud and document forgery. The charges stem from an alleged attempt to steal money from a family trust. The screen showed Varda in handcuffs, being led into the courthouse. She looked smaller somehow, younger. For a moment, I felt a flicker of the old sympathy. Then I remembered Cambridge. I remembered 6 years of sacrifice. I remembered sleeping in my car while they lived in luxury. The sympathy died. Francis muted the TV. "The prosecutor wants to meet with you tomorrow. They're offering Varda a plea deal, full restitution, community service, probation, but she has to admit guilt and stay away from you." "And if she doesn't take it?" "Federal prison. Probably 2 to 5 years. My phone rang again. This time it was Ellie. Holy shit, Roz. I just saw the news. Are you okay? I'm fine. How do you feel? I thought about that for a moment. How did I feel? Not triumphant exactly, not vindicated, just empty. Like I'd been holding my breath for years and could finally exhale. Free, I said finally. I feel free. Good. You deserve to feel free. That afternoon, I drove to Cambridge's admissions office. The programme director, Dr. Williams, looked surprised to see me. Ms. Morgan, I thought you declined our offer. I'd like to know if there's any possibility of deferring my acceptance. I know it's late, but circumstances have changed. She studied me for a long moment. What kind of circumstances? Family obligations that are no longer obligatory. Dr. Williams smiled. Let me make some calls. 2 hours later, I walked out with a new acceptance letter. The programme would hold my spot for the spring semester. I had 4 months to get my affairs in order and move to England. 4 months to build a life that was actually mine. That evening, I sat in my apartment with a glass of wine and my laptop, finally allowing myself to browse apartments in Cambridge. Real apartments, not cramped studios. Places with enough space for books and a proper desk and maybe even a cat. My phone buzzed with an email from an address I didn't recognise. This isn't over. You destroyed our family and you'll pay for it. We know where you work, where you live, where you're going. This isn't over. I forwarded it to Francis and the FBI agent handling Varda's case. Then, I blocked the address and poured myself another glass of wine. Let them rage, let them threaten, let them plot their revenge from whatever hole they'd crawled into. I was done being afraid of my own family. I was done sacrificing my dreams for their comfort. I was done. Outside my window, the city lights twinkled like stars. Somewhere out there was a life I'd never allowed myself to imagine. A life where I came first, where my choices mattered, where I didn't have to apologise for wanting more. I raised my glass to the window, to the future, to the woman I was finally becoming. Cheers, I said to my reflection. Here's to consequences. The anonymous email could wait. The threats could wait. The guilt and the doubt and the lingering sadness could all wait. Right now, I had a new life to plan. And for the first time in years, that life belonged entirely to me.